Yo, what's going on, YouTube, and welcome back to Goal Line Hockey. It's your boy Kevin Forte. Guys, we're looking today at the Arizona Coyotes. We got some really bad news for the Coyotes. Will the Coyotes be in Arizona in a year from now? We'll have to find out, but we're going to look at what may happen in today's video. So let's start off with the breaking news from The Athletic is breaking. The city of Glendale has informed the Arizona Coyotes it will opt out of its joint lease agreement for the Gila River Arena, meaning the Yotes will need to vacate the arena by June 30th, making 2021-2022 this season their final season at the facility. And then we got some follow-ups. From the Coyotes. We remain open to restarting good faith negotiations with the city. And most importantly, Yotes are 100% committed to finding long-term arena solution here in Arizona. And nothing will shake our determination to do what's right for our organization, residents of the Valley, and our fans. And then another statement from the Arizona Coyotes in quotes, "We are disappointed by today's unilateral decision by the city of Glendale to break off negotiations on a multi-year lease extension. We're hopeful they will reconsider a move that would primarily damage small businesses and hardworking citizens of Glendale." So the Coyotes kind of turned this back on the city of Glendale, saying that, listen, if you don't want to get this done, this is jobs that are lost in your city and residents will be without more jobs. So the Coyotes kind of taking this little bit of a political route now, kind of calling them out, saying, listen, if we're not going to be around, you need a tenant here to make jobs. So you may have, from the Coyotes perspective, you may get some people to buy into your side because they need jobs, right? So an interesting move there by the management. This is going to get real ugly, I think, and I don't know if it's actually going to work. So as we continue along, we continue to get more things about if it's not Glendale where they're at right now, what is the future? So the Arizona Coyotes are exploring a site in Tempe, Arizona, as probably plenty of you will mention in the comments if you haven't already. Tempe, Arizona as a possible location for a new arena. Per Arizona Central and Craig Morgan, a big Coyotes insider, the club says they are highly interested in this development opportunity and are, in quote, actively working to identify the best long-term home for the Coyotes. The overwhelming opinion is that their attendance would increase if they moved to the Near East Valley, which is further away in Tempe. The new arena would be 100% privately financed, which we're seeing lots of these new buildings privately financed with no public or government funds. Gary Bettman has repeatedly made it clear the Coyotes cannot and will not stay in Glendale, despite the city and Gila River Arena's efforts to extend their year-on-year lease because the finances do not work as of 2017. Up to 77 to 78% of premium season ticket holders live in the East Valley. So, again, it's more just adding fuel to the fire and kind of more details part of it. Now, you may be wondering, well, why don't the Coyotes, why doesn't the city of Glendale want the Coyotes to stay there long term? What's that whole spin? And I think there's a lot of different things. We know earlier this year there was some questionable ownership practices by the management in Arizona, that it wasn't the most employee friendly, and the Athletic kind of ran the storm with that one. So that obviously didn't help in terms of PR. And it's just made things super difficult for the Coyotes in terms of really getting something done that they want. And I think it's one of those things where you look at the history of this and where it could go. So we're looking at all the way back in 1972. That's how far back this actual franchise goes. 1972 to 1979. The Winnipeg Jets in the Western Hockey Association. I know, that's how long back this team goes. Now, obviously, in 1979, all those Western Alberta teams, you have Winnipeg, you have Calgary, Edmonton, them all joining the NHL as the WHL had broken apart and the NHL became one big league instead of having two smaller leagues. And the Winnipeg Jets were one of those teams. So from 1979 to 1996, the Winnipeg Jets were in the NHL until they weren't. From 1996, they moved to Phoenix of Arizona. So they moved to the Phoenix Coyotes, and they were no longer the Winnipeg Jets, but they still had that same franchise, which a lot of people, now that we have the new Winnipeg Jet franchise in Winnipeg, playing at MTS Center or whatever the new building is called, they used to be the Atlanta Thrashers. So technically, they aren't the same franchise that they had back in the day. And there have been plenty of things in the past where should they get those records back into this Winnipeg organization or should it stay with the Coyotes? So that's all part of it. That's all part of the minutia of it all. So from 1996 to 2014, it was the Phoenix Coyotes. And then once they moved out of Phoenix and they moved to Glendale, where they're at now, or Scottsdale, they became the Arizona Coyotes, which to this day they have been, which is coming up on a decade in 2024. The question is, will the Coyotes make it till 2024 as a franchise? And that is still not determined at this point. We don't necessarily know. And the thing with the Arizona Coyotes, too, you might have to remember is they're one of those fan bases that they will. I mean, I remember in the mid-2010s, I mean, if it weren't for the LA Kings, we may have been talking about the Arizona Coyotes in a Stanley Cup final during that time, had it not been for guys like Dustin Penner in LA. So it was one of those things where the Coyotes had chances. They had fans in the building. It's not because of lack of fan support. What it comes down to is government and local officials and just trying to figure it out. And ownership. Ownership should be getting an arena. And if you guys don't remember, not too long ago in Ottawa, Eugene Melnyk was having the same issues. He wanted investors, but he wanted to have all the control of the building, which means he needs to have that privately owned. And a lot of arenas in today's league are privately funded. That way you don't have to deal with the politicians. You don't have to deal with getting voting rights and stuff like that. You just buy up all the property. You buy up the land. You make it how you want. And this is something where Alex Meruelo may have to figure that out. Now, with that said, what are the options for the Coyotes? So, they stay in, the question of them staying in Scottsdale or Glendale, it's not happening. So you could throw that one out the window. Tempe, Arizona. It might be tough. Now, the thing is, too, they have to get this done in a year. So best case scenario, if there's a building in Tempe, great. I don't know if there's a building yet in Tempe for them to play in. Because I don't think the Phoenix Suns, they could go back to Phoenix. They could make a return to Phoenix. That's another thing that could be brought up. Right? But again, we're seeing how, the Islanders are a good example, but the Islanders have been building this arena now for 3 or 4 years. Like, it could take that long to get a building done. And you look at another team like Calgary, the Scotiabank Saddle Dome, they're already building a new arena. Like, they have that all planned out. Remember when the Oilers knocked down Rexall Place and then built Rogers Place? I think that's what it is. That took a long time. They've been talking about that since 2013, 2014, building that arena. So the Coyotes, because of this lease, it makes it really difficult. And now brings up the question, well, if they're not going to stay in Arizona, if they can't get something done in Tempe in the next 10 months, if they can't get something done in Phoenix, what are the other options? And I know a lot of people are licking their chops at the potential options. Could they sell to the Quebec Nordiques? Now, I know that there is a potential owner in Quebec, but again, you have to remember, because of this pandemic we've gone through, I don't know how many big money people out there want to spend money on a franchise, specifically an NHL franchise. Out of all of them, the NHL is the cheapest of them, which may be some sort of leeway. Maybe they could get that done. And then the one everybody's been talking about is Houston. And this one, it seems to make sense, because right now the Arizona Coyotes, if you guys don't remember, Now that the Seattle Kraken are in the Pacific Division, the Arizona Coyotes are no longer in that division. They are now playing in the Central Division. Now, you may have thought, all right, well, something's happening there. It's almost like Gary Bettman and the NHL had already predetermined what could happen here. So the Coyotes play 1 year in the Central Division this year, and they could very easily move into the same, or stay in the same division as potentially their in-state rivals, the Dallas Stars, playing in Houston. And I think names would be like the Houston Aeros or the Houston Aviators or something of that sort. And there you go. Now you have a new team in Houston. And I mean, the problem is Houston is a huge, they're a giant market, and one of the, well, actually the biggest city in the United States that the NHL does not have a franchise in. So, Houston has an owner. They're just waiting for the opportunity, and Alex Meruelo may just have to sell the team to the Houston whatevers they're going to be. So, kind of bad news here for the Arizona Coyotes. As an Islander fan, I remember what it was like when the Islanders were rumored to go to Kansas City. They were making jerseys, the Kansas City Islanders, it was terrifying, and I feel for the Coyotes fans right now because they do have a fan base. For everybody that says, oh, they don't have a fan base, they do. But you also have to remember, when's the last time they were in the Stanley Cup playoffs, right? This is a team that hasn't had much success. They've had a lot of changing of the ownership. You look what happened. I think this whole thing with John Chayka as the general manager, the illegal scouting practices, and the fact he's no longer there, and the advanced analytics community, it all fell apart. And that was kind of supposed to be the next generation of management, and it fell apart, kind of blew up in the face of owners in Arizona, and now the Coyotes are back where they started, a rebuilding team that doesn't have an arena. And you look at all the Sun Belt area teams. I mean, you look on the West Coast, right? The Anaheim Ducks, they won a Stanley Cup in 2005, 2007. You go all the way across, right? The Arizona Coyotes, not much success. The Dallas Stars, they won the Stanley Cup in 99 with Brett Hall and Mike Modano, right? So they had some success there. The Nashville Predators have gone to the Stanley Cup final back in 2016 or 2018, one of those years. They were a pretty successful team. Continuing to move across, the Washington Capitals won the Cup in 2018. The Carolina Hurricanes, they won the Cup in 2006, right, with Rod Brind'Amour. So they had some success. And now we're seeing the Florida teams. The Florida Panthers have been rumored to be on their way out, but they seem to be doing pretty well, and they're a team that could get better this year. And obviously the Tampa Bay Lightning, who are looking to three-peat as Stanley Cup champions. So the only real Sun Belt team that Gary Bettman has added into the NHL that hasn't worked is the Arizona Coyotes. And Gary Bettman will be the last person to let his baby, the Arizona Coyotes, leave. But they may not have a choice at this point. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Where do you think the Arizona Coyotes will play next season? Because honestly, as disappointing as all of this has been, the Arizona Coyotes have finally gone back to their Kachina jerseys. And that may be the most disappointing thing out of all of this. They finally go back to their old roots. And now those jerseys are potentially going to be taken away from us. So let me know what you guys think down below. And if you guys like what we're doing here at Goal Line Hockey, want to see the latest news around the NHL and more videos just like this one, make sure to give this video a big thumbs up and an even bigger subscribe down below. As always, guys, thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you guys next time.